You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcast, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for February 18th, 2022. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where liberal is not a dirty word, but metamates definitely is. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Bluegal.
I want you guys to know that we had a little bit of a kind of wild freak out Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
In a very specific way.
Yes, we did.
Driftglass opened my card and it said in my handwriting, "I love our life together." And then I opened his card and it said on the front, "I love our life together."
Yeah. So, marriage in trouble. Say.
Nope. Right on the same wavelength.
And we laughed and laughed.
We did laugh and laugh. Mm-hmm. But metamates, we never said in our Valentine's greeting.
No, that's a Zuckerbergism, which is proving that he has no human wiring whatsoever. He has asked his employees to refer to themselves as metamates as opposed to his organ banks. So, I suppose. Did you read the fine print of your employment contract? What? I'm going to live forever. No. I'm going to upload my consciousness. That's not a thing. Okay. Well,
yeah. To the virtual reality.
Yeah.
That the thing he's banking his billions on is this
is Second Life.
Second Life. Yeah. So.
Oh, I can look up your skirt. Aha! You flew in the air.
I am forever water skiing with an American flag. Oh no, I really did that. Oh,
I did that,
okay.
and people laughed at me. So now I should move to the metaverse where I should be king. Yeah. You really are a science fiction villain. Him and Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Yeah.
Only 18 of the 23 apes in which I tried to install consciousness chips died. I mean, I consider that a success. What?
It's so awful.
What? Yes. Well, I have what you might call a lair. And in that lair, I conduct useful experiments for humanity. Okay.
And I live with a daughter who won't wear a wool sweater that I knit because the sheep might feel some discomfort during a haircut.
Yeah.
But, most of the apes didn't die. So
most of them are, I wouldn't say most of them, but several of them.
Several of them didn't die when I operated on their brains.
Yeah. They're like permanently berserk with rage now and pounding their heads against the cage walls, but they're not dead. So, okay.
And not a single one of them deleted Spotify.
Right.
So it's a success.
Well, two of them have their own podcast now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is why you need science fiction writers. Honestly, this is why you absolutely need science fiction writers to say, okay, we thought of all this, and here's what you should really look out for.
Yeah.
But
people that have unlimited wealth, no limit to their ego, and very little humanity.
Just if you need to go
Empathy
to your
is missing.
If you need to go to once you stop believing you're a member of my species, you start looking at me as a resource to be plundered.
Yeah.
And go look up William Gibson, neuromancer, the Tessier Ashpool family, that live in Villa Straylight up in orbit. And this is, that was written a long time ago. And what was the other one? The Diamond as Big as the Ritz.
Because the Ritz and Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. She's got some good stuff in there about we're going to give everybody a pill that makes their sex life wonderful. Oh, we put a bomb inside of it that in 6 months makes everybody's head explode. Not, realizing or not realizing that everyone on the planet was going to take this pill.
I should mention this is wild.
Yeah.
I just looked it up real quick. The Diamond as Big as a Ritz, which is an F. Scott Fitzgerald short story, was published 100 years ago this coming June.
Oh my goodness.
100 years ago. He was talking,
wow.
Here's what happens when people have an insane amount of wealth.
Yeah.
And they will do anything to protect
it. That was the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
1923 was the time. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, so anyhow,
Yeah. Published in Smart Set magazine. So I'll go out and buy
there you go.
The latest copy of that, I believe, is still available. So no, it's not.
No paper magazines left.
No. But here
you and I are sitting here laughing and having fun and so forth. But in some respects, this has been a difficult week. I want to remind all of our listeners that the Republicans' job at this point is purely performative.
Yes.
Their job is to elevate their base and depress and dishearten ours.
Yes.
And so this whole John Durham thing that's gone on and absorbed all of the energy on the right to say, oh, worse than Watergate, Hillary's going to prison. This is terrible invasion of Donald Trump's presidency and so forth. You have Marcy Wheeler on Morning Joe, to her credit, explaining everything in tremendous detail. You have a 1,300-word explainer at the New York Times. And on the other side, you have Sean Hannity screaming worse than Watergate.
Right.
And what is the average low information person going to say? Well, both sides. Look, it looks like she must have done something because
it's a lot of controversy.
There's a court filing, so there must be something there.
The truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Both sides are just engaging in politics. I'm going to tune it all out. Mm-hmm. And yet there's one sentence in the New York Times that I just wish everyone would focus on and not get into all these explainers about servers and so forth, because you don't need any of that. And this is where we're bad at messaging, the part about we're bad at messaging.
Yes. The
cybersecurity researchers were investigating malware in the Obama White House. They weren't spying on the Trump campaign, and all of the data used was all of the data used was non-private data from before Trump took office. It wasn't the Trump White House.
Well, and
the dates are wrong.
It was DNS data. It was
DNS
domain data. This is what I used to teach at Columbia College.
Time out. That's computer jargon that's going to make me just tune out.
Right.
I don't want to hear about DNS because that does not compete with Hannity yelling worse than Watergate.
You're right. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Right.
It's
That's
bullshit.
True. Mm-hmm.
And Durham filed a paper he called background info in the court. It's not supposed to have any bearing on the court hearing at all. Thank God the one person that he's charged with anything is this guy named Sussman has punched back hard in court. Durham waited till the statute of limitations was over. He filed something called background hearing, and then he ran to Hannity with it.
Right.
This is the goal of this is to get the right, as Marcy Wheeler called it, the frothy right, whipped up. And Sussman, the one person that Durham has actually charged with anything, is punching back at the judge, telling the judge. And here's what he did. He said, quote, this is a legal filing. The special counsel, John Durham, has done more than simply file a document identifying potential conflicts of interest. Rather, the special counsel has again made a filing in this case that unnecessarily includes prejudicial and false allegations that are irrelevant to his motion and to the charged offense, and are plainly intended to politicize the case, inflame media coverage, and here's the important part, and taint the jury pool.
Sure. Absolutely. Yep.
End quote. John Durham wants to taint the jury pool.
Mm-hmm.
And tainting a jury pool can get you some serious sanctions as a lawyer.
Yes, because that's what he's doing on purpose.
Did a bad thing, and the court can punish him for it.
Yeah. Well, and this is of a piece with what Trump did with Ukraine.
Yes, and what Bill Barr did with the Mueller report. Issue a 4-page summary that says nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And the media goes, well, I'm going to report that. And then 2 weeks later, well, that's old news. Whatever Mueller puts out, that's old news. Right. We have the summary. We don't need to read any 200 pages. We don't need to read a 1,300-word article in the New York Times about DNS servers because we'll just report the controversy that it's Hillary versus Hannity.
Right. You all remember Hillary. It really is. You and I were talking about this just earlier today, the Star Wars universe. Why it can't get any bigger than it is because it has the same number of ingredients as Taco Bell. It has the Skywalker family, and it has AT-ATs, and it has X-Wings, and it has an Empire, and it has Rebels. And all fans want are those 7 ingredients rearranged in an infinite number of combinations.
Yeah,
that's all. That's all they want. So if you just say Hillary, well, you all know Hillary. Remember her? Remember X-Wings? Remember Luke Skywalker? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Now I understand this is a Hillary thing.
This is the story, right? It's a story that you've heard before. You already have an opinion on it. And, Hillary should go to prison. Well, that's the greatest hits of Sean Hannity.
Well, now it's Hillary should be executed. And this is, the Sarah Palin case got tossed out this week because Sarah Palin could not prove that in one editorial, the New York Times had actual malice toward Sarah Palin. They apologized the next day and fixed it. They indicated they wanted to get the story right. Right. They did what you're supposed to do as a responsible
If she was going to sit there and try to prove, well, the New York Times hates me and wants to destroy my career, no, there was no case there.
Right.
And the jury was 9-0 and the judge was going to toss it out anyway. So everyone agreed.
Well, and
Hillary Clinton sues Fox News. She can prove actual malice over decades.
Sure she can. But that's not the story. The story is, I want Ukraine to investigate Hunter Biden. Start an investigation. Just start an investigation. I don't care what it is. I want the headline that says Ukraine is starting an investigation, so that can be my campaign. And it's the whole idea is to taint the global jury pool. I've heard of Hunter Biden. I've heard of his laptop. I've heard of impeachment. Oh my God, they're investigating him. Well, he must be guilty. And it is an absolute, in the bone, wired into the DNA reflex. For 70 million Americans. And all you have to do is push one of these 5 buttons, and that would be damaging enough. That would be horrible enough. To sort of acknowledge finally in a clear-eyed way that there are 70 million people in this country who just are dead from the neck up. You can never reach them. They're going to hate you no matter what you do. They're going to attack you, whatever you do, and they don't give a shit what happens to anyone. They would rather destroy the country and rule over the ruins than let a Democrat be a Democrat.
And they don't remember any of their own failures.
No, of course not, because that's yesterday.
Just erase those. Yes, right.
The worst part of that is the respectable media picks up the story and says, "Well, let's make this half the story. What these mouth breathing inbred meatheads believe is half the story." And down in paragraph 10 is the other half of the story, which is everything you've just read is bullshit, and these people have been lied to, and you shouldn't listen to them.
Well, I think that era in terms of this story, though, is over.
Yeah.
The mainstream cable networks did not pick up the Durham story.
No. And they
looked at it and said, we know what this is. This is bullshit. And maybe they're gaining, at least in this one instance, a level of sophistication that Europe has of, we know the difference between Putin propaganda and what's real news, and we're not going to cover this.
Well,
and so I appreciated how, because I have to watch Fox, during the day and see what's going on, the extent to which the wires on those marionettes started to show. Fox started to complain about the other networks not covering the story. And that's not something that they generally do. They usually brag about, we're giving you news that no one else has, so you want to keep it on Fox, to their audience. Instead, they're complaining in front of their audience that they're the only ones talking about this. And that's unusual.
Bless Soledad O'Brien.
Yeah.
For surfacing a Jonah Goldberg, who you might remember was just hired, just fucking hired by CNN because he's one of the credible ones. And bless her heart for surfacing a very recent tweet of his. I don't have the date on it because it's a screenshot, but it's Jonah Goldberg saying, kind of amazing that neither the New York Times or Washington Post have run the news story of John Durham since December, unless I'm using their search tools incorrectly. No, you're the tool, Jonah. You're the fucking tool. And that hateful Slaven has been hired by CNN as a credible news broadcast because they can't stand the idea of reporting that basically doing what Jon Stewart used to do, which is point the camera at Fox News
and
6 hours a day
Mountain.
And say everything you're listening to over there is a fucking lie. And we're going to break down exactly how you're being lied to and why you're being lied to and why people who believe these lies decade after decade are really, gone. You can't really have any exchange with them.
Can I just interrupt you for one second and tell you that Jimmy Kimmel did that this week?
Yeah.
He he pointed out the John Durham story and said, the people watching Fox News and all of this have oatmeal for brains.
Yeah, well.
So, there's a show that a lot of people watch who are not overtly political.
Yeah. Well, and that leads us to our second topic.
Yeah. Move
which
right
is,
along.
I want to talk about an article from the Bloomington Normal Pantograph, which is, deep in the heart of the middle America, right where we are. This is our country. It was sent to us by friend of the podcast, Steve. Thank you, Steve.
Steve was also the one who said that all of their focus on switching to Hillary Clinton is a sure sign that attacking Biden isn't working.
It's not working. And you can see they're not operating as a political party. They're operating as a hostile enemy force.
Mm-hmm.
And when one line of attack is failing, they'll switch to another. They don't care about policy. They don't care about people. They don't care about the environment. They care about winning. Mm-hmm. And attacking Biden isn't winning. So this story is from this week. It's entitled, from the Bloomington Normal Pantograph, entitled, "The Brand is So Toxic. Democrats Fear Extinction in Rural America." Okay? Now, first, I want to recap the night that we lost a car and some furniture and half the books I brought to Springfield. For a reason.
When you moved down here?
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah.
We're used to big rains down here. Big rains don't scare us. We're used to calling the street out in front of our house Lake, the street name, because it would flood up to the curb on a heavy, heavy night. Mm-hmm. Then one night we got a call from a neighbor saying your car is being flooded. And I had street parked my car, and I thought she's old. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's exaggerating. Nope. Water had gone up to the door, above the door, was getting near the window. I did the stupidest thing imaginable, running out during a lightning storm in my bare feet, up to my shins, up to my knees in water, which was very bad. Mm-hmm. Got in the car, it started it up, pulled it into the driveway as far as it would go, and eventually it was totaled. The electricals had gotten soaked. It was totaled. The worst part of that, the worse than that, was going to the basement and seeing a foot of water in the basement, and going to the drain pipe in the basement and watching water just shoot out of it.
And this was prior to them rebuilding the sewer lines in Springfield.
That's the problem. A sewer line had collapsed and was blocking the drainage of this huge amount of water. And the water was just backing up into everyone's basements. Mm-hmm. And the reason I mentioned that is the worst part of it was watching what was happening, knowing what the problem was, and knowing there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. Mm-hmm. The water was just going to do what it was going to do until it stopped raining. Mm-hmm. Now, hold that in the back of your mind while I read you this excerpt from this article. Some Democrats here in rural Pennsylvania are afraid to tell you they're Democrats. The party brand is so toxic in the small towns 100 miles northeast of Pittsburgh that some liberals have removed bumper stickers and yard signs and refused to acknowledge their party affiliation publicly. These Democrats are used to being outnumbered by the local Republican majority, but as their numbers continue to dwindle, the few that remain are feeling increasingly isolated and unwelcome in their own communities. Quote, "The hatred for Democrats is just unbelievable," said Tom Holohan, an accountant based in rural McCain County, who recently encouraged his daughter to get rid of a pro-Joe Biden bumper sticker. "I feel like we're on the run," he said. Now,
his name is Tim Holohan.
Tim, I'm sorry, Tim. Yeah. I apologize. Sorry, Tim. Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, who's now running for the Senate, described himself as a champion for the, quote, forgotten and the marginalized, the left behind places, as he addressed roughly 100 people made inside of a bingo hall in McCain County, a place Trump carried with 72% of the vote in 2020. "These are the kinds of places that matter just as much as any other place," Fetterman said as the crowd cheered. You and I agree with all of this. You and I live in a place that's similar to this, not quite as bad, and we agree that this obsession with the coasts when it comes to politics, and you only send people to the interior to talk to people in diners who voted for Trump, is a sickness in the media. Mm-hmm. So far, so good. Democratic Rep. Jim Cooper of Tennessee, who recently announced he would not seek re-election for Congress this fall, warns that the party is facing extinction in small-town America. "It's hard to sink lower than we are right now. You're almost automatically a pariah in rural areas if you have a D after your name." Now, the question is, what happened? How did this happen? Why is this happening? So along comes Senator Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, who's now heading the One Country Project, which is focusing on engaging rural voters, which, again, great idea. She criticized her party's go-to strategy for reaching rural voters, focusing on farmers and vowing to improve high-speed internet. Now, this is the part I want you to listen to very carefully.
And think about the water in the basement.
Think about the water in the basement. At the same time, she said, Democrats are hurting themselves by not speaking out more forcefully against far-left positions that alienate rural voters, such as, wait for it, the push to defund the police. Now,
there's one elected official mentioning that in the entire Congress.
In the very next paragraph of the article.
Mm-hmm.
While only a handful of Democrats in Congress support stripping such money from police departments, for example, conservative media popular in rural communities, particularly Fox News, amplifies such positions. Mm-hmm. So the problem is not that Bill Clinton killed a bunch of his political enemies, or that Barack Obama is a Kenyan communist, or that Hillary Clinton eats babies, or that that defunding the police is part of the Democratic Party platform. The problem is these people think that that's true. And they think it's true because they have Fox News piped into their shitty little houses and trailers 24/7, and they have for 30 years. So, next paragraph. This is again Senator Heitkamp. We're letting Republicans use the language of the far left to define the Democratic Party, and we can't do that. The trend lines in rural America are very, very bad. Now the brand is so toxic that people who are Democrats, the ones left, aren't fighting for the party. Now note her language. Note how she phrases her thinking. We're letting Republicans use the language of the far left as if Republicans were our pets or our children and that we're in loco parentis. And they have no agency. They have no responsibility for any of this. And we're responsible for, them the madness that they sow, that the craziness, because it was our fault, because we didn't stop them from pooping on the carpet or voting for Trump. We shouldn't let them use this language. Well, what do you suggest we do to stop them from using this language? Because the broken sewer pipe in our country is Fox News and hate radio and Breitbart and One American News Network and on and on and on. It's flooded the areas. The zone is already flooded. It's already flooded. These people are already soaking up poison and loving every minute of it.
In this shit. Yes, they are.
And they love it. And
they're swimming in it. Yeah.
And other than, I don't know, Heidi Heitkamp, you can yell all you want, but it'll never get covered on Fox News. You can denounce whatever bullshit conspiracy Republicans come up with as loud as you want. You can have as many Sister Soldier fucking speeches as you want. It will never reach these people because all they listen to is shit like Fox News. So the problem isn't that Bill Clinton assassinated Vince Foster or that Barack Obama, again, is a Kenyan communist. The problem is Fox News. Now, what's your plan for eliminating Fox News, Heidi Heitkamp? What's your plan for countering Fox News? What's your plan to get our messages into the homes of people who don't want to hear it, and we'll turn it off if it's voluntary? And the answer is, we're standing here looking at these sewer pipes backing up, knowing exactly what the problem is, knowing exactly how much damage it's doing, and we have no ability to stop it. And that's what frustrates me, is that because Senator Heitkamp wants somebody to fix this, and so do I, she blames Democrats for Republicans being assholes.
Yeah.
And I think it's high time for
and
all
that happens over and over again.
It does.
That happens over and over again. It does.
And if you listen to, as I do, lots and lots and lots of podcasts by our allies, half the time or more, they're bitching that Democrats don't message better. Hey, guys, I have an idea. How about you talk about how awesome Democrats are all the time? Why don't you do for us what Fox News does for the people you claim to hate? The entire liberal media, which comes down to, 4 people on MSNBC sometimes,
and some that are on Twitter who've been fired from MSNBC.
Right. You'll notice that people who really do message well don't spend half their time bitching that Democrats suck.
Right.
They spend their time talking like Katie Porter does of all the great stuff we're doing. Look at all the great stuff you're doing. How come Charlie Sykes doesn't spend every fucking podcast talking about
how Democrats deliver?
Democrats are awesome.
Democrats are delivering.
Democrats are great.
Yes.
Because he is wired into the sewer system. Because he can't function as a human being or have an audience if all he is us. Yeah. He needs to hate liberals because hating liberals is how he's built. And that's how they're all built. So eventually, no matter what you do, these allies of ours will always wander back to bitching about how the Democratic Party isn't doing what it should, and we told you so, and you're all going to fucking lose. And that is not helping us. That is being part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Well, this is very much Rachel Bitecofer's argument, which is brand Republicans with their brand, which is insurrection and anti-democracy. And by the way, all they're going to give you, voters, is investigations into Hillary and Hunter Biden's laptop. That's that's the only plan they have. They don't have a plan for you to have clean water. They don't have a plan for you to have daycare. They don't have a plan for you to have health care. None of it. They don't have anything to offer you except a show.
Right.
And that's not enough for you. You deserve better than that. I don't want to get too much in the weeds of this, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had an interview with the New Yorker this week. It's online. It's not in the magazine yet.
I saw that. Yeah.
Did you read it? She talked about her Republican colleagues. And one of the things she said really struck me, that in Republican elected Congress people's psyche, there is a belief that they are riding, again, she didn't use these words, but they're riding sort of a teeter-totter between holding on to their cushy jobs and making sure someone worse doesn't get in. There is a perception among Republican Congress people, and I'm not talking about, the really awful ones,
right?
Like Marge. I'm not talking about.
You're talking about the cowards. The cowards.
The cowards. The ones, the backbenchers who collect their paycheck and want to do a little bit of insider trading and don't want to be on a headline. Aren't interested in running for president.
I got to go along with these fascists, or the really bad fascists.
Or the really bad fascists will get in. Yeah, and that is their opinion of their own party.
Right.
That I'm in a safe seat, but if I'm primaried, the person that gets in is going to be 10,000 times worse than what I'm complicit with.
Right. And you know what?
And that's their opinion of their own party. They know their voters are nuts. Right. They know their voters are brainwashed. But it's a system and a cycle that works for them.
Well, and that is the fifth circle of hell.
Yeah.
But to their mind, the eighth circle of hell, the lowest possible thing you could ever do is, advocate for the Democratic Party.
Right.
Because liberals are. This is a party. The reason the Republican Party is so fucked in the head is they've spent so much time inventing demons on the left, because they needed demons on the left. That going back to Newt Gingrich, talking about, when a woman murders her child, that's just liberalism.
Right.
That's just the way. That's the fucking 90s. That's the early 90s. They have spent so much time turning the left into monsters. I mean, one of the part of the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez article, or maybe the response to it, was that this woman is smart and on it and a good politician when you talk to her in person, compared to the bug-eyed freak-out monster the right has made of her. And a whole bunch of people in her own party have bought into this bullshit.
Right.
That she's some kind of, monster witch who's out to destroy.
Is terrible. Yeah.
Because they need a monster. The Republican Party exists in opposition to something. It needs a monster to justify its existence. So they just keep inventing monsters. And they invented Bill Clinton as a monster. Then it was Hillary. Then it was Barack Obama. Whoever Democrats put up is the next worst person in history. And it will always be true, because that's who the Republican Party is. And it is, they're wired that way. And so it is impossible for a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, with some very rare exceptions, to countenance the idea that they would just leave the crazy altogether, walk across the aisle, hold up Ocasio-Cortez's arm and say, this woman is a fucking hero. This party is all we have left. The party I left are lunatics and fascists and demagogues and scumbags. And you have got to vote for people like this. So I'm going to leave the party and not just sit on the sidelines on my ass and bitch about how both sides are bad. I'm going to go knock doors for Katie Porter. I'm going to go work with Stacey Abrams to get voters registered as Democrats.
Elected as governor of Georgia. Right.
This thing that Charlie Sykes always bitches about. If the left thinks we're really in an existential crisis, why don't you act like it? What he means is, why don't you get behind Joe Manchin? Right. And dump the rest of your fucking party and become Republican light. Charlie Sykes, I know you listen to this. I know you listen to this podcast. If, as you say all the time, this is an existential crisis, why the fuck don't you act like it? Why the fuck don't you start talking about knocking doors for Katie Porter and getting down with Stacey Abrams and shutting the fuck up about all the beefs you have from the 1980s about school reform and mass transit, which is really where your heart is, because that's when you get really animated. They don't care about winning. They care about preserving the illusion that their little pundit universe, that they're right. Yeah. And that's all they want to talk about.
Real quick, I want to talk about the fact that Axios covered Trump sucking the oxygen out of GOP fundraising. I'm so excited that a mainstream outlet like Axios actually noticed. And how did they notice this? How did they notice
to you?
No.
Oh.
How did they notice that Donald Trump is sucking all the oxygen out of Republican fundraising? They talked to Republicans on the Hill. Off, anonymously.
Sure.
Right?
Can't put your name on that.
Donald Trump's spamming of Republican donors could kneecap party efforts to build a steady funding stream for future elections. Top GOP officials privately warn Axios' Lachlan Markay and Jonathan Swan.
God.
Yeah. So, and they don't mention WinRed, this for-profit company that is scraping money off the top of those donations from the campaigns. I mean, this is where they're really bitching, or should be really bitching, is I have to pay a service fee to a private company that I'm sure is full of Trump investors. It's probably Jared or one of his friends. And I have to pay that in order to get this money. I also have to kowtow to Trump to get this money because WinRed is using Trump's name and Trump's image and Trump's campaign for fundraising purposes. And, the number one client of WinRed is Donald Trump.
It's just Southern Trump property where he slaps his name on it, and
Donald Trump has raised more than $51 million during the second half of 2021. He ended the year with $122 million in the bank. And this email from Axios says Trump's small dollar fundraising operation is the vanguard, driven by ceaseless emails and text messages hitting up his supporters for cash.
And you know who the most prolific fundraiser on the right is in the House, maybe in the entire Congress,
is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, same strategy, exactly the same strategy. Yep.
Yeah. One veteran Republican digital strategist told Axios, the effect compared with the potency or engagement of other ex-presidents is something we've never had in the history of digital fundraising. Now, here's where they do mention WinRed. 22 cents of every dollar that GOP payment processor WinRed brought in last year went not to GOP midterm candidates, but to two Trump committees. The two Trump groups brought in more WinRed money than the National Republican Senatorial Committee and the National Republican Congressional Committee combined.
Oh, God. Yeah.
By comparison, top recipients of money raised through Act Blue. Now, this is where the article's inaccurate. Democrats' WinRed counterpart. It's not a counterpart.
It's not a counterpart.
They're nonprofit.
No.
Yep. If you want to support Act Blue's infrastructure and their employees, you add a donation to the money you're giving to the campaign. But 100% of your donation to the campaign goes to the campaign. Whereas WinRed scrapes off the top of your donation and takes it. WinRed, yes, Democrats' WinRed counterpart, a lie. The top recipients of money raised through Act Blue were the Democratic National Committee and the party's House and Senate campaign arms. Yep. Now, I have had my disagreements with the DCCC. Yep. Let me tell you.
Yep. Well documented. Loud and well documented. Yeah.
Disagreements with the DCCC. But in terms of actual money going to campaigns where they're going to need it and use it for advertising and winning, you're going to have to go through Trump to get that money.
Yep.
If you're a Republican House candidate, you're going to have to get Trump's endorsement. And as we've said before, Driftglass, the Republican primaries are going to be lit.
They're going to be lit. By the way, I was up late enough last night to see a commercial for Trumpy Bear.
Another? Really?
Yeah, still running. Still, and it's the greatest bear ever, wants to make America great again. Comes with a little zipper pack in back to sew an American flag cape comes billowing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a cheap, horrifying nightmare food, and it is on your television at 1 a.m. And
Oh my God.
I couldn't be more like, yep. They're still selling this shit. My guess is there's a warehouse full of them.
Oh, sure.
But there are people out there who will buy this shit.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen their buses, we've seen their flags. They live in our town. We know who they are. But just follow the money. Mm-hmm. Follow the money. Look where the money is going. Look what the priorities are. You don't need an entire investigative team to see that, a big slice of this money right off the top, like a mob-run casino almost, is not going to the infrastructure of the party. It's going to the asshole who owns the software.
Yep.
However,
and don't get me started about Truth Social, but they're charging for Truth Social, and that is being funneled through WinRed, by the way.
You got to tell people
WinRed's getting a cut of that too.
You got to tell people what Truth Social is. You can't
Truth
just
Social
drop
is
that.
Donald Trump's Twitter clone, which everyone's noticing looks like a Photoshop of Twitter.
It is. It's a photo. It's a shitty Photoshop of Twitter, but it's called Truth Social, and you're charged for membership. Oh God!
You're charged via WinRed for membership. WinRed is doing the processing. I'm telling you, it is the casino.
It is.
You're buying the chips, but 10% of the chip is you're not allowed to bet with that. That goes to the casino bosses.
Well, it's a mob run casino because
it's a mob run casino. You don't win anyway.
The skimming skimming is all done by the bad guys, and if you get too far ahead of the game, they'll never find your body. They're going to bury your career in a desert somewhere.
But this is the only thing that explains Kevin McCarthy and Ronna McDaniel and how they're behaving, is that they have no choice. All of their candidates are going to have to go through Trump to fund their campaigns.
And of course,
they're going to call it legitimate political discourse.
And just for the record, I agree with you 100%. But just to clarify the use of language, of course they have a choice. They could turn on Donald Trump. They could tell the truth. They could be human beings. They could act like human beings with a conscience.
They could warn their voters and donors that you're being stolen from by WinRed, and that message would be received.
They have exactly as much choice as rural voters have to not listen to Fox
turn
News.
Off Fox. Yeah.
They choose not to. Now, if we're going to go to a different place where none of these people are responsible, they have no choice, they have no agency, well, then we should treat them as children or farm animals or equipment, but they're not people anymore because they don't have any agency.
I would rather not do that. I would rather not treat my fellow citizens as
farm animals,
less than human. Right.
So if
that goes against my morals.
Absolutely. And so if they are fully human, they are responsible for the choices they are making every day. Right. And therefore, we have every right to point out to them that they're bad people. Because it's not that
both sides do it, though.
Yeah. Well, now that the Both Sides Do It ecosystem is fully restored to its pre-2016 respectability, which it has been. If you noticed, Both Sides Do It never dies. It goes away for a while, but it always comes back. Now that it's respectable again to write shitty articles about both sides being disappointing, you see the return of people like persistent media hangnail Matt Bai, who's been around forever and writes shitty opinions and is on both sides of issues. And, I'm all over the place. Republicans hate me because they think I'm a liberal. And liberals hate me because they think, because you aspire to be Mark Halperin, which is just so sad. It's so very, very sad. But he's got himself, because the Washington Post is a shithole when it comes to these sorts of things, a big old Washington Post article entitled, "Enter Matt Bai, Opinion, I Reject Both Parties, Ideas of..." I reject both parties' ideas of Americanism, and I'm not the only one. Now, in this article, after the few obligatory paragraphs detailing the complete collapse of the GOP into a deranged fascist culthood, comes this. For all his success, though, there's a fire raging in his party that Biden hasn't even tried to control and probably couldn't extinguish if he did. For me, parenthetically, and probably a lot of suburbanite voters this fall, this is more than a backdrop to his presidency. It's a deal breaker. Oh my God, there's something so bad in the Democratic Party that Matt Bai, suburban dad and totally decent human being, might just have to not vote Democrat because it's so bad. What could it be? In their zeal to beat back Trumpism, the loudest Democratic groups have transformed into its bizarro world imitators. Okay, so what is this terrible, Trump-imitating, party-bestriding colossus that has seized control of the Democratic Party and has made it almost as bad as the GOP in such a way that Matt Bai, complete saint on earth, man about town, gentleman scholar, is going to drop the Democrats and say, fuck it, maybe the fascists will win, but there's really no distinguishing between these two parties anymore.
I'm guessing it has something to do with woke.
It's the actual proof that he brought to the table, the evidence, is one book by one author.
Huh.
Not a congressman.
Now, is this a congressman? I was going to ask. Is it an elected official?
No, there are no elected officials involved. No one with any actual power of any kind is cited in this article anywhere. It's How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendall, which is apparently like the movie The Ring, in the sense that if you read it, if you even read a summary of it, a week later, you're leading an uprising against Matt Bai's condo association.
No.
And you become a social justice warrior and say, Matt Bai, your condo association is evil. Out you go. Mm-hmm. So he's terrified about what this one person with this one book has done to the Democratic Party. Now, Matt is smart enough to know that he's peddling David Brooks's used toilet paper.
Sure.
So he has to reach.
I can smell it from here.
Everyone can smell it. But there it is. Big as life and twice as ugly in the Washington Post. So what he has to do is reach into the Glenn Greenwald bag and disarm the reader with this quote. This is about the point where some, most likely some in my own business, will scream, Both-Siderism. That's the now cliche argument that any criticism of a Democrat whatsoever must be some kind of journalistic reflex to equate the parties when clearly one is worse than the other, right? So having now disarmed you, the credulous reader, with his acknowledgement that, okay, Democrats are slightly less bad than Republicans. Matt Bai goes on to say that while Democrats aren't quite as bad as the GOP, the situation overall is so bad that for years I predicted the eventual triumph of an independent president outside the two-party system. That candidate hasn't emerged, but the lane for a credible independent has never been wider. So,
oh my God.
Now that Matt Dowd has transformed.
I was going to say, that's Matthew Dowd, isn't it?
Well, Matthew Dowd 2.0 has become Matthew Dowd 3.0.
Yeah.
Because Matthew Dowd 2.0 was destroy the corrupt duopoly, vote independent, everything sucks, Hillary's just as bad as Trump, what the fuck are you talking about, I'm an independent, all of which was on the record until he burned the record down to get a job at MSNBC. So now he's Matt Dowd 3.0, who's never heard of Matthew Dowd 2.0 and thinks Both-Siderism is terrible, and we should all just get behind the Hillary campaign that was the thing that he hated worse than anything in the world in 2016. So that lane is now open for Matt Bai, because you don't even have to change the letterhead. It's just Matt to Matt. I'm
also figuring that Tom Friedman's cab driver has something to do with this as well.
I have a feeling he drives Matt Bai around all the time and whispers in his ear.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read this book by this author, but it's terrifying. And the Democratic Party as a whole, the whole party is just crashing down around us. And so I never believed that Both-Siderism could die, because it can't die. Because I've referred to before, this is called shelter culture. This is the culture where even as someone as shitty and awful as Matt Bai can always find the job at the Washington Post to burnish his resume. Now, since he's done this, I have to go out on a limb here and ask myself, where will he appear? On what media program will he appear now that he's got his shitty column about both sides being wrong?
Is he going to wind up at CNN, or is he going to wind up on Nicole Wallace's show?
Here are your four choices. CNN, sitting across from Jonah Goldberg, just crying in their beer.
Right.
Morning Joe, shaking his head, crying in his beer, in the Mark Halperin seat, you know, that used to be Mark Halperin. Still smells bad. Yeah. Maybe Nicole Wallace, and I'm thinking dark horse would be either the Mona Charen podcast or the Charlie Sykes podcast over on the Bulwark, because he's even liberal Matt Bai realizes the Democratic Party.
Are you going to tell me that he's been on all four of these outlets in the past week?
No, I'm just guessing. I'm taking a real risk here. I'm showing you my heart because I trust you and I love you. To say that I'm guessing that very much like Will Salatan did his big shitty oh my god article to get into,
and wound up having a full-time gig at the Bulwark. Yes.
That Matt Bai wants some FaceTime on some TV or some radio or some podcast somewhere with an audience bigger than the Professional Left podcast.
If you guys see Matt Bai appearing at any of those 4 outlets, yes. Driftglass gets a nickel.
Right. I will buy you a Trumpy Bear and send it to your home.
No, you will not.
No, I won't. I will not. I'll get a picture of a Trumpy Bear and send it to your home.
Send a picture of a Trumpy Bear. Mm-hmm. Let's do a news roundup, Driftglass.
Let's do that.
The Bidening continues. This week, Fox News floated the story that the whole Ukrainian thing is a hoax invented by Democrats or Putin. I've also heard Putin.
Yeah, who knows?
To cover up the terrible Hillary Clinton scandal, because Vladimir Putin is such a fan of Hillary Clinton that he actually destroyed her presidential hopes for reasons that,
Sneaky.
This is Maria Bartiromo is saying, maybe this is all a ruse to distract us. What?
Because of soul cooking, and pizza and whatever. This week, we are reminded that Rush Limbaugh died a year ago today, as Fox reminds us, which is creepy as fuck. Yeah. And rarely has this quote from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar been more appropriate. The evil that men do lives on after them. The good they do is oft interred with their bones, except the only thing Rush Limbaugh ever did for the good of humanity was to leave it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And by the way,
I was just utterly creeped out by, Fox remembers Rush Limbaugh. Yeah. It's just, ugh.
Well, and his legacy is everywhere. His poisonous, awful, shitty, racist legacy is the Republican Party.
I did like the tweets of, congratulations, Rush Limbaugh, on 1 year of sobriety.
See, now I feel bad that I laughed at that.
Yeah. Rand Paul wants legislation to force airlines to end mask mandates because he's, quote, tired of paying the airlines to be treated like crap. Mm-hmm. I want them to bring me a glass of water and peanuts, and I don't want somebody jammering at me to put a mask on. Also, apparently his son got in trouble on an airplane for bad behavior. At
some point in the past. If you're tired of paying to be treated like crap, I'll do it for free, Rand. Just show up at my house all day, every day. And I'll remind you how much your namesake-ish Ayn Rand was pro-abortion and hated God. So,
right.
Which your constituents clearly don't know. Now, this exchange is not a verbatim exchange, but spiritually, it's what happened.
Oh, it is what happened.
It is what happened in Congress today. Tom Cotton, the Senate this week, got up to say it's your party, Democrats, that voted in lockstep for the First Step Act. Then our Senator Dick Durbin got up and said, the Democrats did the First Step Act? You people were in the majority. The bill was co-sponsored by Chuck Grassley and me. Republican senators voted for it. And who signed it into law? Donald Trump signed it into law. And Tom Cotton, who is I don't know, I forget what Charlie Pierce calls him, a slapdick goober or something like that, some very clever thing. Just hates being caught looking stupid like that. So the First Step Act was the worst mistake of the Trump administration, but it doesn't matter because, you commies want to defund the police. Now, he didn't say commies, but his go-to was the thing that Fox News taught their listeners was what Democrats really wanted. It's a Hillary button. You just push that button and
Hillary button and pro-crime. Well, you can't go to California at all, anywhere in California, because your life will be shoplifted right from under you. Yes.
And you can just tell that they have a series of trigger words that they know to say when they get into trouble, and they throw them at the wall and run away, which is, what cowards do.
And, by the way, Tom Cotton has already been to New Hampshire in preparation for a 2024 presidential run. So looking forward to the erasure of the past when it comes to everything Tom Cotton's ever done. Mm-hmm. President Joe Biden, you know him.
I've heard of it.
He rejected Trump's claim that his White House visitor logs were subject to executive privilege, directing the National Archives to send Trump administration logs to the January 6th committee. In a letter to the National Archives, White House counsel Dana Remus said Biden had determined that Trump could fuck right off with that bullshit. Is that what he said?
That's not a direct quote. That's just what I transcribed. But basically,
that's a Driftglass transcription.
Yeah, Trump can fuck right off. We're turning all the records over, and he can kiss my shiny metal ass. So,
right.
The EPA will reinstate California's authority to adopt its own stricter tailpipe emission standards. The Biden administration is expected to finalize the waiver within days, which would reverse a Trump-era rollback. In 2019, the Trump administration revoked California's decades-old waiver that allowed it to set stricter air pollution standards for cars and light trucks than those required by the federal government.
You mean states' rights, Driftglass? Is that what you're talking about?
States' rights. And people who are serious about environmental problems taking action. And Trump hates all those things.
Trump's EPA didn't do that?
No, they did the opposite of that. This is opposite of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, Inspector General Mark Greenblatt, the current one, has found that Ryan Zinke, remember him?
I do
Trump's
remember
former
him.
Interior Department secretary, grossly misused his position to advance a development project in his hometown and then lied about it to an ethics official. The report found that Zinke repeatedly broke federal ethics rules by improperly participating in real estate negotiations, including directing his government staff to assist on the project. And I remember this because I remember at the time he was caught as well. Like, don't you own this property that you're trying to develop, or aren't you working with them in your hometown to develop this? No, that's my wife's project.
Right. Yeah.
And now they've found with the Inspector General has looked at the emails, and no, it's his government email. He's emailing developers. He's emailing about parking. He's emailing about, we need this, this is next to the park, and we need this, and we need this brewery to go here, and so forth. And
Wait
so
a
on.
minute. Aren't all his emails protected by executive privilege?
No.
No? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought all things that came out of the Trump White House were all protected by executive privilege. Because basically, the umbrella defense for all these fucking criminals is Trump said it was okay to do this.
Yeah, and today, now that the judge has said that Trump and his two kids who haven't testified yet have to sit for a deposition in New York, his lawyer now. Look, lawyers are lawyers, and everyone, including Donald Trump, deserves a spirited defense. I do take that ACLU standard.
You're a card-carrying member.
I am. And, the lawyer's doing his job trying to prevent Trump from going to jail. That's doing his job.
Right.
And I get it. But he demanded, Trump's attorney today, the one that he has now, this latest one, demanded that in order to testify, after the judge said he has to testify within 21 days, the lawyer said, yes, but we want immunity. now that's his job. I get it. And nice try.
No.
The judge is going to look at that and go, this is what happened during my divorce too. My attorney just kept telling my attorney X, the judge isn't going to go for that. Everything he asked for. I want to not pay child support in the summertime.
Yeah. And at some point it becomes, a Simpsons episode with Lionel Hutz going, I'm having a bad court thingy.
My ex tried to do that. I don't want to pay child support in the summertime.
I'm having a bad court thingy. That's not a real thing.
The judge is not going to go for that.
No.
So that's what's going on with Trump right now. In local news, we have a lot of Republican primaries are going to be lit. Local news, right? And Illinois Republicans are having a bad week, it turns out.
Do you want to? I'll do the first one if you don't have the link up.
I don't. You go right ahead.
This is from Capital Fact. Capital Fact is a wonderful local news source, independent news source by a guy named Rich Miller, who came down here, 30, 40 years ago when faxes were a thing and became the go-to guy for what's going on Capitol Hill in
at the State
Illinois.
House. Yeah, in the State House. Yeah,
and it's terrific. And I'm just going to read from his publicly posted. Some of his stuff is behind a paywall, and I respect that. This is public. Illinois Republicans focused on state races may wind up with a real problem at the top of their ticket.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. So far, this person is probably the most well-known of any Republican running for the U.S. Senate right now. His name is Bobby Pitton, Piton, and here's a couple of his tweets. White privilege is the lie the lunatic left communists created to serve as a cover story for their election theft for counties such as DuPage, Illinois, turning communists from conservative. All right? And because he wasn't drunk, he decided he would follow that up with, the communist Democrats and pinko rhinos have hijacked elections across the state of Illinois and the nation. It's all propaganda to cover up their tracks, folks. Now, first of all, you should never trust anyone who uses the word folks in a tweet.
Yeah, and he's a QAnon.
He's a lunatic.
Nut job.
He's a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, stop the steal, QAnon Trumper. Yes.
And he's well known by the Gateway pundit, who reported that, hey, you can believe this guy because he's a mathematician.
You're being considered a mathematician by Gateway pundit is a red flag, folks.
Yeah, and Rich Miller goes on to put up a whole bunch of, I'm not going to read them all, but a bunch of bullet points like, here's a crazy thing he did, and here's another crazy thing. Yeah. And here's a whole bunch of crazy shit. This is the most well-known person running for the U.S. Senate against Tammy Duckworth.
Tammy Duckworth, who is polling off the charts. Yeah. Everybody loves Tammy. She's, you know who Tammy Duckworth is.
Yeah, she's the next senator from Illinois.
And this is Barack Obama's Senate seat. This is the former Senate seat of Barack Obama. So here's this, but the only person they can get to run against, this is the point. Right. Tammy Duckworth, and she's going to fight for this seat again. Sure, she's going to run a serious campaign. She's going to show up for events and make sure that people know she's on the ticket and, not take it lightly. And we aren't taking it lightly either.
Nope.
Vote for Tammy Duckworth if you're in Illinois. Get out and vote. But, no Republican wants to run against her because it's a waste of time.
No.
But someone does because they love seeing their name on the news. And it's this QAnon nut job. Right.
And the last time they did this.
Yes. God.
It was Alan Keyes.
Yeah, Alan Keyes.
Because
we got a black is what they did. Yeah.
Well, before that, Mr. 7 of 9, who was trolling his lovely wife at singles parties or swinger parties,
my God,
got in trouble. And his name was Jack Ryan. He had Kennedy hair. Yeah. He was a perfect chiseled new Republican candidate whose candidacy just blew up. And because Illinois Republicans are so fucking clueless and so fucking racist, when Barack Obama is the candidate, they said, "Oh God, we got to get a black."
Yeah.
And I know a guy in Maryland. His name's Alan Keyes. Maybe he'll move here. Reagan liked him, and Alan Keyes was out of batshit crazy. I mean, just out of his fucking mind. And he just went up like a pillar of salt.
Yep.
And he disowned his daughter because she was gay. I mean, just a raft of things. And this guy is worse than Alan Keyes.
If you can imagine.
And because they don't have anybody else. There is no Illinois Republican Party. There are a bunch of billionaires who really want there to be a libertarian wonderland in this state, which ain't ever going to happen. And they keep piling money. Occasionally they get a governor in there.
I learned something today about Illinois Republicans. I didn't realize there was something called the Eastern Bloc. Did you know about that?
No.
Eastern Bloc is a bunch of Trumper Republicans who want to secede from Chicago.
Oh, no, that I knew.
They're elected in the state house. They are sitting representatives in the state house of Illinois, downstate Republicans in very safe districts who now you have this in our notes, are fighting the mask mandate in the state house and are about to be ejected from the state house for not wearing masks.
Well, do you want to just stipulate that there are even more crazies, or do you want to go down to the second crazy person?
Oh, let's do
Sullivan.
Let's do Jesse Sullivan. I'll do that part.
Okay.
In launching his candidacy for the Republican nomination for governor, this is of Illinois, by the way, 37-year-old political unknown Jesse Sullivan has touted his background as a venture capitalist as a key pillar of his campaign. In other words, Governor Hedge Fund, right?
Right. I have money. I know what money is. I know how crypto.
Yeah. The public records show the entity Sullivan has described as a, quote, venture capital firm, unquote, Alter Global, was created in February 2016 as a tax-exempt charity?
Oopsie. Oops.
Alter Global made limited financial investments and was heavily dependent on cryptocurrency for its funding.
Crypto.
So far, Sullivan has distinguished himself by lying about being a venture capital firm and by going on a local radio show and answering straightforward questions like this. Some questions people are asking about. Did you vote for Obama? Did you vote for Trump? They want to know about your voting record. And he replies with, I want to talk about my journey and Jesus. Yeah, well, let me share about my own journey, my own political journey a little bit. I grew up in central Illinois working on a farm. I have always been a person of deep faith, but we were a sports family, not a political one. So I was someone who was paying more attention to the Super Bowl last night than paying attention to who's funding who and what race and all that. So my faith drove everything. So that meant I was always pro-life. I meant that I was always pro-Second Amendment out hunting with my grandpa.
There you go, people. Illinois Republican.
That's how he's running his campaign.
And the cherry on top.
And then he said, if you're looking for Donald Trump's policies in the state of Illinois, I'm your guy.
I'm your guy. You want Trump? I'm your guy. I love Jesus and babies and guns. I'm your guy.
Yeah, and that's the campaign slogan of a woman, QAnon woman, running in Georgia for governor in the Republican primary, because she's Jesus, babies, and guns.
Right.
And the people saying, I'm going to arm Jesus if those babies come attacking.
Man, you can't trust those babies. You don't know what side they're on. Suddenly, what do they want? Gimme. You know what they are? They're a bunch of moochers. It's gimme milk, gimme sleep, give me a pat on the back.
Jesus, guns, babies.
God.
All right.
Okay, and finally in local news. This is literally came across the Twitter like a couple of hours ago. And it's reported by Brendan Moore, who's a local reporter who works, I think, part-time for everybody. He's all over the place. I don't know when he sleeps, but he reports on a lot of stuff. Today in the Illinois House, Representative Lakeisha Collins of Chicago motioned to have 10 House Republicans, Representative Chesney, Fries, Halbrook, McComb, Miller, Nyberg, Reich, and Sanowski, Welter, and Withauer, I believe that's pronounced, removed from the chamber for not wearing masks. Mm-hmm. Republicans are teeing off the mask mandate in place of the House chamber, accusing Democrats of virtue signaling. They said Democrats have been in congregate settings outside the chamber without masks on. Yes, out in the open where you can sit far apart. Members have the option to participate remotely if they really do find wearing a mask too difficult. But obviously, that's not the point. It's all political posturing.
So wait a minute. So they can participate and vote and debate from their office.
From their bathroom if they want to. But
unbelievable.
But they marched in just to piss off the liberals, just to own the libs.
Well, it's a show. It's a show for Fox. Yeah.
Well, and then the House voted 66-39, which is what you get to have when you have Democratic majorities.
Right.
To have
Super majority.
To have the 10 Republican members removed from the chamber until they comply with the mask mandate. The members in question voluntarily left the chamber, were followed by most House Republicans, presumably in a show of solidarity. Because
there's one of them who at the last time I checked hadn't left yet, and the House guards were really mad because they didn't want to pick her up and carry her out. For the
cameras. The sergeant at arms doesn't want to haul a lady out because it looks bad on film. Yeah. You know what? If you have a problem with that,
turn off the cameras. I think that's when the Democrats turn off the cameras for an hour and just say,
"Oops, we don't know what happened."
We don't know what happened. Well, I'm all for sunshine laws and everything, but this is so performative. Just turn off the cameras.
Or if you want her hauled out, if you want her hauled out, I know some people. I know some guys. They got no problem. They just go to any bar in town and get a couple of bouncers. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. No, I toss security shirts, right? And just hit, gotta go.
I toss assholes out all the time. I don't have a problem with that. Men, women, doesn't matter. If they're assholes and they're causing trouble,
I've always said you'd make a good bouncer because you're 6'8", and nobody's going to say, no, I don't want to.
Oh, you want to
leave.
No, that's a whole different story. There's a lot of people who are, who have something to prove.
Very bold when they're drunk.
Who have something to prove. If I go over there and take a swing at that guy, maybe she'll go home with me because I'll be tough. And,
it doesn't usually work out well for them, though.
No, it doesn't. But I'd rather not. Yeah, I just want to go in.
You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the 6'8" guy who beat up the little drunk.
No,
yes, I know.
As all tall people know, you can't win a fight in public because you're bigger. Yeah. And no matter who started it, you are the bad guy for punching back. And you know what? Here's my advice to liberals. Punch back. Be the bad guy. Be the bad guy. Punch back really hard. I don't mean physically. I mean, when somebody gets up in your face, double them. Get way up in their face. Insult their mother. Go after their family.
You're so strident, Driftglass.
I know I am.
You're so strident.
I know. And eventually everyone catches up with me, even Dick Durbin. So
hey,
good for me.
Each week we post to our Facebook page and website an Internet Kitty sent in by you, the listeners. This week's Internet Kitty is a dog, however. Uh-oh. Last week we had the kitty named Mac. This week we have the dog named Macduff.
Macduff, I've heard of him.
Uh-huh. In this picture, Macduff is handling a rawhide bone that is bigger than he is. But Macduff's human says Macduff finished off that bone in a week. So he's a hard worker. Mm-hmm. Good going, Macduff. And of course, McDuff Eats Freshly Poured Pet Food, our fake sponsor. Whether you serve pet store perfection or dollar store direct, your pets will sit on the kitchen floor and demand that the food they eat is only freshly poured. Freshly poured, freshly poured. Oh my Lord, it's freshly poured. And you can visit McDuff. He's a sweet little dog with a lot of energy to get that rawhide bone finished at our Facebook page and website. And you can send your internet kitty, dog, or other pet to us at our email address, proleftpodcast@gmail.com, where you can also write to both of us. Feel free to write us. We love hearing from you. Be aware that if you write us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service. Go Postal Unions. Letter on the air unless you say otherwise. We received a letter this week, Driftglass.
We did.
From Robert Chaz Shute.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sorry, Robert, we're running out of time for this podcast, but let me promote his latest book, which he sent us.
Yes, he did.
He sent us a copy of his book, Endemic. He is a good writer. Robert Chaz, Chazz, Shute, Chute. I've read one of his zombie books, and I've read his self-help book called Do the Thing. This book is called Endemic, and it is about a woman named Ovid Fairweather who finds herself trapped in a struggle for survival, bullied by her father, haunted by her dead therapist, and hunted by marauders. Ovid is forced to fight. With only the voices in her head as her guides, an unlikely heroine will become a queen. I think this sounds fun.
I want to know more. Where can I get a copy of this fine book? Oh, at bookstores
You can get
everywhere.
it wherever books are sold. And they are on Amazon and wherever else books are sold. Endemic by Robert Chaz Shute. He's a good writer. I do recommend it. Okay. I'm going to read it. I'll tell you. And we'll get to Robert's letter on our letter show. We do one in June, I'm sure.
Sure.
Hashtag Jail to Joy, by the way. Don't forget our gourmet coffee guideline. If you can afford to buy an espresso-based beverage for yourself, buy one for us. This is not charity. This is our job, and we love our job. And thank you so much for providing us with your support. Approximately 1% of our listeners support this podcast with a contribution, and you can too. See our website, proleftpod.com, for details. We have PayPal, Patreon, postal address information where you can send us a check. It's all there at proleftpod.com. Please share our show on social media. And if you love this podcast, please get someone else to listen to. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for rating and reviewing our podcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. And we so much love you. We love you very much. Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Bluegal, the Internet Kitties are wondering if everyone knows that a new episode of the award-ready podcast, Science Fiction University, has indeed dropped. This episode is entitled The Attack of the 60s.
So you get 2 podcasts from us this week.
I know. And my sound editor deserves a foot rub and all the Chinese food she ever wants.
We have a blizzard today, so we're not going out for Chinese.
No,
but
I'm cooking
maybe
tonight.
You'll boil some pasta for me later.
You know what? For you, honey, for you, I can do that. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Let's think about living. Think about living. Let's think about loving. Think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the popping and the lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the wine and the crying, the shooting and the dying and the fellow with the switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left podcast is recorded under a Creative Commons license, copyright 2022, DGBG Productions Incorporated.